I'm going live.
He was very standing up.
No.
In Trinidad.
They
had the body out in the open.
Okay. Going live. So we have the live. We have the live link now, and I'm going to put it. Okay. So we have the live. We have the live link now, and I'm going to put it.
But that beats on the track.
Music, please.
Wait 1 second.
We are getting ready for some fun this evening. Lots of guests. Jennylynd's Writers Collective, episode 5. So welcome all guests. I'm posting the link so everyone can join us. Join us on YouTube. We have 5 more minutes to go. Now, I'm going to send out the link to some more people so they can join us. We have a few more minutes to go. I don't think I have to send the meeting link again to Mrs. Birch. She said she doesn't have it.
I have sun-kissed skin.
Let that beat start a trend.
I have to get this link again. She doesn't have the meeting link. God.
Did you?
Mr.
Or does she not have the
The
connection?
meeting link.
Oh, you didn't send her a link?
Yeah, it's a long time. Okay.
Purchase your tracks today.
Now it's 5 o'clock. So we're going to start in a minute. I've sent links to everybody. So we're going to start in a few minutes. Now, one of our speakers is going to tune in a minute.
Purchase your tracks today.
Okay, so now let's get started on our presentation this evening. Welcome, welcome everybody to Jennylynd's Writers Collective, episode number 5. Welcome everyone. So good to have you here this afternoon.
Purchase your
So,
tracks today.
today is a special day. We're going to have guests all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to have Coryn Anaya Clarke and Cynthia Birch being interviewed all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. What we'll do first, I'm going to take you through all the books that I've written over the years, let you know a bit about our publications and do some book readings, and then I will introduce my guests. So a little bit about the books. The first publication I did, Escape from Ireland. This book records a lot about my journey when I was a new immigrant in Ireland. And when I was restless about working in the United States, I decided to get European work experience. And so I moved to the Republic of Ireland to take up a job in the food industry. So this book tells a lot about my journey as a new immigrant in Ireland. And it was the first memoir that I ever wrote. When the Irish economy crashed during the recession, I moved to Toronto, Canada for work. And this book, Goodbye Frying Pan, Hello Fire, was my second memoir. And it tells a bit about what it was like as a newcomer to Toronto. Didn't know anybody. And I tried to settle in this big city. It was culture shock, moving from Ireland to Toronto. The next memoir that I published, Red Car, Long Legs, talks about what life was like living and working in Southern California. I had lived there for about 6 years, working in the fresh fruit and vegetable industry, and had many adventures working in California and also being sent to Latin America for work. So this book talks a lot about what it was like during those times. Then another book that I wrote, Where Are My Car Keys? This book talks about my mother's journey with Alzheimer's disease and what it was like. Over 12 years, we saw our mom suffer from Alzheimer's disease and go through all the various stages. So I wrote this book as a form of healing so that I could recover from her death. She died in January 2018. And writing this book helped me to pour out all the emotions. So it was a great way to try to recover from my mother's death. I also wrote the children's companion book and illustrated the book. So Where's My Granny talks about Alzheimer's disease as seen through the eyes of my nephews. Right, so one book that we're going to read today, Derive, A Trini Expat Comes Home. This book talks about what it's like as a Trinidadian expat living and working overseas and going back to Trinidad on occasions, happy occasions, sad occasions. And so it was a joy to write this. It's a collection of stories, and we're going to be reading from Derive today. So how is everybody doing? Let me go on to YouTube and see who is here with us this afternoon. Yes, hello, Mrs. Birch, I see you now. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see, hopefully other guests will join us later. If you're here, put your name in the chat box. I see a few people have joined us. Put your name in the chat box so we can hear from you. Yes, and now, since it's the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, and all other holidays, I encourage people to get books for friends as gifts, books for yourself, and I'm offering a special deal for the holidays. 2 for the price of 1. So 2 books for $20, and I can ship them anywhere you want, anywhere you live. I will sign the books and send them out to you. To pay for shipping, it could be snail mail or express mail. I will send out 2 books for just $20. You can find out more about my books on the website, JennylyndJames.com/books. And I'm going to put that information in the chat box. So send me an email. I'm putting my email in the chat box if you want to get copies of the books for the holidays. What I'm going to do now is read from Derive, a few passages, some funny passages too, and then I will introduce my first guest. So, as you know, Trinidadians love Carnival, and being a Trinidadian living overseas, I went home to Trinidad for Carnival on many occasions. So I'm going to read a passage from such an occasion when I went back home. I will first tell you a little bit about the book in the preface. As a Trinidadian expat, I found myself living and working in cities around the world. The most heartwarming experience in every country was to encounter another Trinidadian expat on a similar adventure of assimilating into a foreign culture. Every time I return home, I find the country quite different to the one I left behind. Friends have moved away, and those who've never relocated are busy with their lives. It is not easy being a Trini expat who has an idealized and sometimes unrealistic vision of Trinidad, which is one big carnival party. Having strong ties with immediate family is one main reason to return. When elderly parents became ill or incapacitated, the guilt of leaving them behind created a stronger urge to return. Derive is a collection of stories describing some of my adventures as I travel from country to country and return to Trinidad for visits. Now, let me tell you about Carnival, returning home in 2006 for Carnival. And the song that year, I'll sing it for you. Turn it up, start the jumping by the truck. Band of the year, band of the year, band of the year. So when the song in 2006, I think it was Road March. I could feel Carnival in my bones as my daughter and I boarded the plane in Heathrow, London, en route to Port of Spain, Trinidad. We had been living in Ireland for many years, and our annual ritual was to return to Trinidad for Carnival. It was the happiest time of the year for me and thousands of other Trinidadian expats scattered across the globe. Travel is education. That's what I used to say. And Carnival is a cultural experience. That was my justification for taking my daughter out of school every year. Nobody can teach you that kind of culture in the classroom. You'll catch up easily when you return. And as for me, I used to say I can't come so far and just watch Mass. I had to play Mass. In 2006, my daughter was also playing in Children's Carnival for the first time. We were going to have a full house at my family home in Diamond Vale, Diego Martin. My friend Mary from Montreal was visiting, and my sister Colette, who was coming from Atlanta, would also be at the house. She didn't know we were going to be there. So it was a great surprise in the Piarco airport when she saw us on arrival. Our ambitious Carnival week consisted of the following plans. We were to visit Panyards on Wednesday night and then go to Celibia all-inclusive fete on the Thursday. Then Carnival Friday, we would go downtown Port of Spain to witness the long-time Carnival parade. Then it was Soca Monarch at night, that Friday night in the National Stadium. On Carnival Saturday, we planned to go all day to the Children's Carnival Parade. Then at night, we were going to head to Panorama Finals because we couldn't miss that. At 4 a.m. Sunday morning, we planned to go to Sunnyside, a breakfast party on Palm Avenue in Pitti Valley. Then on Sunday afternoon, we would host a family and friends gathering for a Carnival Lime. Later on, we were going to check out Dimanche Gras on TV and rest because we had to be out for Juve at 4 a.m. on Monday morning. Then after Juve, it was a dip at Macri Bay to wash away the mud and go home and put on our costumes to play Pretty Mass on Monday afternoon. Tuesday, it was all day in Pretty Mass. And then Ash Wednesday, we were flying back out to the cold. So, as you can see, our Carnival plans every year were extremely ambitious, and we tried to do everything. It was really, really exciting and also very sad to leave on the Ash Wednesday. So that is a little bit about Carnival in 2006. I also have a story of what happened when we went to the Celibia Bay party. So let me read a little bit about that for you. fete was sweet too bad. Why would people have a party all the way in Salibia, an hour and a half from Diamondville, Diego Martin? Our mother lent us her car to go there. Her car was old. It was from the 1990s, but it still ran. She said, "Be careful with my car. Look out for the bandits. Lock up my car properly." One could tell from the license plate that the car was an old clunker, but at work it wasn't bragadang. It still ran. So we went to that party and had a great time. And here's what happened at the end. That fete was so sweet. But unfortunately, like any good daytime party, things started winding down when twilight approached. Some people would never leave until all the music had stopped. But they were begged to leave. The DJ was winding down. We dragged our tired feet reluctantly to the exit. And as we were leaving, some people were serving mini rotis. Despite having all you could eat and all you could drink, I took a few rotis for the road. As we drove through a lonely stretch on Valencia Road, the forest seemed to enclose on us from all sides. Then suddenly the car engine coughed. Then it coughed again. And this time the wheels of that car slowed down until they came to a complete stop. We all gasped. I tried turning the key in the ignition, but to no avail. The car just wouldn't stop. What were we going to do? We were in the middle of nowhere in the forest in Valencia. Was that long drive out to Salibia too much for my mother's little old car? To find out what happened next, get your copy of Derive, a Trini Expat Comes Home. Okay, so lots of adventures on that carnival trip. Now, what I would like to do is introduce my first guest, Coryn Anaya Clarke. So Coryn, can you please turn on your camera? There we go. Hello, Coryn. How are you this afternoon?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining me. This is the first time I'm having guests speak all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. And Coryn is a child prodigy, beautiful reader, very bright little girl. And I'm so happy to have Coryn on the show today. So Coryn, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am 5 and I'm a stage 1 student.
Oh, and what school do you go to?
I go to Scholastic Academy. That's my school.
Scholastics Academy. Oh, and where is that?
St. Augustine.
Oh, in St. Augustine. Very good. Well, thank you, Coryn. And I heard you wrote a book. Can you show us what the book looks like? Wonderful. It looks like you. Oh, my goodness.
It is me.
Okay. And what's the name of your book?
Chronicles of Coryn 7 Days of Fun is also available on Amazon.
It's available on Amazon, 7 Days of Fun. And what is the book about?
It's about me and my family doing fun activities.
Excellent. Now, can you read from the book for us? Let's hear you read from your book.
Okay. To all the children everywhere, you are beautiful, you are smart, you are kind, you are good, you are brave, you are strong, you are brilliant and one of a kind. You are important. Hello, my name is Coryn Anaya Clarke and I am 4 years old. I am from Trinidad and Tobago. That's a country in the Caribbean. I love to sing, read, and dance. But do you know what I love most of all? I love going on adventures and learning new things. Learning is fun. Today is Sunday. Do you know what I do on Sundays? I do yoga. Yoga is exercise for your body and your mind. Every week I learn new moves called poses that help me get stronger, and more flexible too. It also helps me relax. Yoga is a lot of fun.
Ooh, so you've done yoga?
I've done yoga before, yes.
Oh, that's excellent. And it helped you to relax.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to read anything else for us?
Yes, Monday.
Okay, let me hear that one.
Today is Monday. On Mondays, I dance. I'm learning ballet. Every week, my teacher shows me some really cool moves. I've already learned the plie, releve, and chasse, but I still need to practice so I can be just as good as my favorite ballerina. Her name is Misty. Did you know she started dancing when she was just a little girl like me? When I grow up, I'm going to dance on big stages just like her.
Yay! That's wonderful. Thank you. Now, have you written any more books?
Yes, I'm writing a second book already.
Okay, and what is the name of that book?
Adventures of St. Kitts.
Adventures of St. Kitts?
Yes.
Have you been to St. Kitts?
Yes.
Okay, you have family there?
I have my grandfather and my grandmother.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're writing about your adventures when you visited St. Kitts?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Well, I look forward to hearing about that book. And I think that would also be on Amazon, eh?
That's because
Yes.
it is on Amazon.
Okay. And you have a third book coming out?
Yep, already.
Oh, what is the name of that one? Tell me.
My birthday party.
My birthday party. And so that was which birthday? Your 5th birthday?
Yes. That means I'm
Okay.
5, but my book is telling me 4, which I'm not really 4.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm so happy that you were able to speak with me this afternoon. And everybody, I'm sure, enjoyed your presentation. Thank you, Coryn. I hope everybody who is looking at YouTube also gives Coryn a big round of applause. Thank you so much. So I hope all your viewers this evening enjoyed Coryn's presentation. What an adorable child and very bright child prodigy, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. What I'm going to do now is read a little bit more from Derive. A Trini Expat Comes Home. So as you know, when you live abroad and you have elderly parents, you go back to your country of birth, not just to have fun like carnival time, but I also went back at sad times, like when my mother was in the hospital, and then also when both parents passed away, I had to go back. So I'm going to read about one time when my mother was at the Port of Spain General Hospital and advancing in Alzheimer's disease. So one of the last stages, really. But it wasn't all somber because at the hospital, there was always drama and sometimes jokes. So let me read a passage I call Days at the Ward. It's the nuts man, salt and fresh, cashew nuts, kumar rice cake. Nuts man here, salt and fresh, cashew nuts, kumar rice cake. The roadway exiting the hospital was filled with vendors who plied their trade as hospital staff and visitors entered and left every day. Some vendors paid for space in a wooden building where they sold a variety of snack foods. Others would set up a makeshift table at the side of the pavement and take a chance, especially targeting families as they came and went during visiting hours. There was the nuts man who sat next to his tray, filled with miscellaneous plastic bags and goodies. The doubles man, the pie man, they always had a lineup early in the morning as people entered the hospital grounds and needed breakfast. I was a bit skeptical about buying food from these people who handle food and money with great dexterity. No hand washing facilities were visible for miles around. The herbs man pulled up in a pickup truck, opened the tray, and called on departing hospital staff as well as hundreds of families on their way out at 6 p.m. His spoken English was impeccable compared to that of the other vendors who spoke in broken English. He explained the virtues of his herbs to anyone who would listen. Small plants were ready for transplanting in the garden or could be harvested fresh from the windowsill in your kitchen. A woman sold slices of cake from a tray on the edge of the car park: sponge cake, black fruit cake, lemon cake. They were large, tempting slices for anyone who felt hungry on the way out. The parking lot security guards were a strange breed. It was their job to make the free parking at the hospital as difficult as possible for all visitors. The lot was open early in the morning, and they placed cones in some of the best and most convenient spots along the edge of the parking lot so that nobody could use these spots. Only when the worst spots were filled would they begrudgingly move the cones. This caused great frustration and ire in many visitors. The side for staff parking was seldom filled, but one was not allowed to park on that side of the parking lot unless you could somehow make friends with the attendant. The security staff went home at 6 p.m. sharp, locking the gate that visitors could use to exit. So when the hospital's visiting hours ended, there was a mass exodus from the hospital with traffic going through the one gate that was open. It defied logic. One morning, a frustrated relative who was visiting family had parked on the street and walked through the parking lot at the end of visiting hours and saw the cones still fixed in place near the edge of the parking lot. She decided to challenge the bossy-looking attendant for not allowing people to park in the space. Suddenly, a huge argument broke out and it turned ugly. Why are you so stupid? You have the cones in the space and people have to park outside. Ma'am, mind your business, said the attendant. Well, that comment really irritated the woman, who decided to spend another 10 minutes berating the parking lot attendant. That is why you so working in a parking lot. You're uneducated and it's the only job you could get. Ma'am, I said to mind your business. I am in charge of this parking lot, said the attendant. Who are you? I sure you don't even own a car. Why are you so stupid? Why the hell you don't give people the parking space? I had to walk quite outside and you're hogging all these spaces in here. This visitor was fuming mad. The women argued back and forth, and it seemed to me that a fist fight could break out at any moment. The visitor was not backing down. I asked my sister to drive out quickly so we would not get caught in traffic leaving the site because there was a fight. The sun was beating down on us. We were trying to back out of the space as some more people were entering and leaving the parking lot. As we backed out slowly, we barely missed an elderly woman with a short afro who walked through the parking lot. She was dressed in a pink cotton nightgown, on her way somewhere, walking with purpose. She must have not been very ill. However, she sported a hospital wristband, so she was a patient. That old woman decided to walk directly behind our car as we tried to back out. We were to see her every day at 9 a.m. when we went to visit our mother at the hospital. She was a hospital regular. And so that was a little drama when my mother was at the Port of Spain General Hospital, where we went every day to visit her. We saw some of the same characters, the vendors, the patients. and the security guards or parking lot attendants. It was drama every day and a bit amusing too. Now I'm going to read another passage for you. And this was around the time when my father passed away. Many relatives came to visit and cousins we hadn't seen in many, many years because many of them live in the United States. They all came for Daddy's funeral. And the funeral was somber, very sad, but then we had fun afterwards because it was like a family reunion. So I'm going to read a passage that I call Dust to Dust. You know, like dust to dust, ashes to ashes. The St. James Crematorium called my brother to collect Daddy's ashes, which were placed in a large clay pot. He brought the ashes to Diamond Vale and asked Colette and me to determine what we should do with them, knowing that our parents had separated for many years. It may have been a problem to bring the ashes into the house. And at that stage, my mother had advanced Alzheimer's disease anyways, so we were not quite sure what she would do with the ashes. My father was a retired secondary school history teacher. In his younger years, he had a keen interest in Caribbean history. He was also very interested in the history of his mother's family. The Jameses were from a line back in Tobago. My grandmother had told me many stories about her childhood growing up on the family estate in St. Cecilia, which is a part of Concordia, Tobago. It was an area near Mason Hall. And family legend had it that when slaves died, they were buried under a large tamarind tree on the St. Cecilia estate. This tree was never to be cut down since it housed many African souls. I decided that Daddy's ashes should be taken back to the ancestral home of the James family and scattered under this mythical tamarind tree. The tamarind tree at the time was on the property of Sheila, one of Daddy's cousins. Sheila had succumbed to Alzheimer's disease and was no longer living there. Her son, Junior, who was the owner of the property, did not even live in Tobago. One of my cousins had tracked him down and he was living abroad. When he was told of my plan to scatter Daddy's ashes at the foot of the tamarind tree, he was completely against it. I hadn't spoken to him personally, so I was determined to scatter my father's ashes right there. So my cousins, Mariana, Sandra, Linford, and Charlene, as well as my sister, my daughter, and I embarked on a family pilgrimage to Tobago one day. Our mission was to do some sightseeing and also scatter Daddy's ashes at the foot of the tamarind tree. This was the first and only time all our cousins were in one place and we were all having a family trip. We reserved an 8-seater rental van for the expedition, and I volunteered to drive our party around since I thoroughly enjoyed exploring the sights of Tobago. We wondered what to put the ashes in when we were preparing to leave that morning for Piarco Airport. We couldn't take them in that big clay pot. So eventually we found a large ice cream tub which someone had used to bring pilau for the funeral reception. We decided that nobody would suspect anything out of the ordinary if we had put the ice cream tub in a regular shopping bag. It would certainly pass for just another piece of hand luggage. We assembled very early at Piarco Airport and went through security as a big group. I held my breath until we were safely through the metal detectors and collected my bags off the conveyor belt. Let's sit over there, I said, with delight, as we spotted some empty seats. My daughter was giggling all the way, being happy to finally be with cousins and spend time. The jokes were endless as we tried to sit together in the departure lounge. As we settled down and we were waiting on our flight, I revealed to everybody what I had in my bag, the mysterious tub of ashes. My cousin Linford said, "No, I want to hold Uncle Kenneth," and he grabbed a tub. Then Mariana said, "No, I should be the one who's holding Uncle. I'm the oldest here." Listen, if people grab that tub and the ashes fall out by mistake, I'll be really mad. We'll be in big trouble. I took possession of the bag until we were in Tobago in the rental van and on our way. As we drove onto St. Cecilia Road, everyone said, "But you can't do that, you can't do that." Junior said you couldn't do that. I approached the house. It looked abandoned. And I had the tub in my hand. To find out what happens next, get your copy of Derive, A Trini Expat Comes Home. Okay, so that was a little bit of adventure. And if you really want to know what happened with the rest of the story, get your copy of Derive. Now I'm going to introduce my next guest, Cynthia Birch. Would you please turn on your video camera, Mrs. Birch, and your speaker? Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Good to see you. So for all the viewers, Mrs.
Thank you so much, Jennylynd. It's a delight to be here.
Yes, Mrs. Birch, for those who don't know, she is my English teacher at Bishop Anstey High School. So it's so exciting to have her join us this evening. Mrs. Birch, please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, it will be a capsule. I started to teach English and Spanish immediately upon leaving secondary school. And after a lot of dreaming, I came into the teaching service of Trinidad and Tobago after graduation from UWI. And I remained there for 27 years until retirement. I taught mainly English. That was at Bishop's. I taught mainly English, French, scripture, and comparative religion.
Okay, excellent. Yes, thank you so much. Great intro. And tell us about your books and why you wrote them.
Well, actually, I could just tell you in one word why I put those thoughts into the handbooks. Desperation.
Okay.
A few friends and I kept worrying about the basic errors we were hearing, particularly on radio and TV, and then seeing them in print in the newspapers. And this is what prompted me to produce what I call help in a capsule, because a few of us were so distressed at the trend. Even Miss Sherland, the late Miss S.B. Sherland,
yes,
she rang me once and she said, "But Mrs. Birch, do you know that there's a new rule for agreement?" I said, "Miss Sherland, I don't know." She said, "Now people are thinking that they must make the verb agree with the very last words." And we had a good laugh.
Okay.
So that's what really prompted me. After grumbling and chatting with friends for about 2 years, I said, no, let me start writing these problems down, because I have absolutely no difficulty. I'm not in any way critical about our use of the vernacular. I love the vernacular. It is delightfully expressive. I think some people think that because I'm so keen on what we used to call standard English, the acceptable English that's used all over the world is a more accurate description of it. But that's not the point. When we need to present something more formally, we need to not to make these silly errors, because it mars there's a lot of good writing, there's a lot of good reporting, but then you come across an ordinary word which is mispronounced, or very ordinary grammatical construction. So my thrust is quite pedestrian. It is to provide some tips and some help to people who are making these simple errors, like when to use amount and when to use number, how to pronounce. In the booklet, I have several words, and I tell people what to do. I say, go to Google. I'm not telling them go to try to figure out the dictionary now. We have Google, we have all the technological tools.
Yes.
Go and just ask Google how to pronounce it. A little YouTube thing comes up, or a little symbol. You just click it and you listen. But what you need to do to really improve is repeat it.
Yes.
And I have 2 whole pages of words, and of course there are many more. I'm adding all the time. In the first book, I have.
So show us the first book. What is it called?
Practice. What we say, what we write. This is book 1. Are you seeing it?
Yes. So what we say, what we write.
Yes, and it's in 2 parts. But if somebody needs a start, I would recommend the first one, because I deal with things like agreement and certain expressions that are incorrectly used. So the book 1 is the one to get first if you don't want to buy both.
Right. What we say, what we write. And
another point I would like to make, though, is that I made them slim, because what I am aiming at is that people who are practitioners can just take these books along with them and use them. You may be going to a conference. You want to check the pronunciation of something, or you want to check some basic grammar. It can give you a quick tip, and you can move on from there to do more exploring. So this is why I produce them as slim books, so you can move around with them.
Yes.
And check things on your laptop and that sort of thing. Yes.
Right. Excellent. Do you want to read anything from one of the books for us?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
Actually, there's something in the preface that is relevant.
Okay.
In the middle of my preface, just a few lines. I hope also that the booklet will underscore what Mrs. Undine Giuseppe wrote in the introduction to her publication, Caught in the Slips, copyright 1976. Mrs. Giuseppe said, "For a long time, like many other Trinidadians, I have been concerned about the poor standard of spoken and written English so common in our country. People so frequently use incorrect constructions and mispronounce so many words." So then I said, I've written after that, this is not to take away from the appeal and sweetness of Trini talk, but to provide some guidelines to being versed in formal English when this is required, because we know that what we are about to say must reach our audience. So if you require speech that is typical of Trinidad and you're writing a play, I mean, you're not going to use formal English.
Exactly.
But then if you need to send something all over the world in language that will be understood globally, then you need to produce. Yes, so that's the thrust.
Okay.
But it's really a handbook, and it's to help people who have problems with basic errors.
Right. And where can the viewers get copies of your handbooks?
Well, I have the main bookstores in Trinidad have, like paper-based in Normandy, RIK has, Mohammed's has, and then Nallis, people can consult them at the Heritage Library at Nallis, and I've given them copies to send to other Nallis branches.
Okay.
But the good news is that again this year, the Hilarians Christmas Fair will be taking place at Bishop Anstey High School on Saturday, 12th December.
Excellent.
From 9 until 5, and I'll have copies there too.
Okay, excellent. So viewers, you heard that. You can get the books at the major bookstores in Trinidad and Tobago, at the National Library, Nallis. And then Mrs. Birch will be at the Bishop Anstey High School, Old Hilarians Christmas Fair, December 12th, with copies of her book. So if you want to support, and it is very good for your professional development from what we've heard today, go and support her and buy copies of the book on December 12th at Bishop Anstey High School's Christmas Fair. Will you be writing any more books? Oh,
well,
building on what you have?
I am not on one of the creative people, and there are so many good creative books that I will just stay in my little corner for now. But of course, I keep adding the notes, you know. For instance, I have supplemental notes to the pronunciation.
Okay.
So I don't know what will happen in the future, but
right.
And the reason I haven't got them on Amazon is because they are really for us. It's our local problems, and here and there, Caribbean. A few people up the islands have copies.
Okay.
But amazingly, there are copies even being used in Vancouver, of all places.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's good news. Good news.
Making the rounds of a class. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Birch. I sincerely appreciate having you here this evening. So
thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yes, I'm going to stay on the call, and I'm just going to read one more passage from my book. And this is what I end the book with. Now, the book has a glossary of Trinidadian terms, you know, like jalopy and last lap. Many different terms, purge, ragadang, rango. Things that the typical English speaker would not know. I put a little glossary at the back of the book. And I end with what is called a diary of the Trini Expat. I went away and have come back again. Have I changed, or has my country changed? Why doesn't anyone recognize me? Where are the friends I used to know? Some have moved to distant lands. The ones left behind seem not to know me anymore. Will they accept me, or am I just like any foreigner? I've come for the laughter and enjoyment. I've come for carnival. I've come for Christmas, the parang and the soca. I crave bacchanal before I go back to the cold. What about the food? Is roti still important? Can I not get this in a big city abroad? They say the taste is different. It's all in the seasoning. The culture must have changed. People have more foreign things than before. When I was young, Christmas was more exciting. We used to feel holy on Christmas Day. When I lived in Trinidad, Carnival seemed more exciting. When I lived there, we didn't sing Calypso on Ash Wednesday. When I lived there, we fasted during Lent. We didn't party until Glorious Saturday. When I lived there, you didn't have to lock up your house or call anyone before visiting. What happened? Why has the culture changed so much? Why is it I don't recognize most people in a crowd? When did all the children become adults? I had hoped the culture would not change. I wanted to recapture my childhood when I visited. I've boasted to people in foreign lands about my country. Alas, it's not the same as when I left. I'm longing for a past that would never return. I start to compare my country with foreign lands, but complaining gets me nowhere. Nothing is the same. Realizing the changes, I know I'll have to leave. Seeking more adventure, I know I'll leave again. Will my child ever truly know where I came from? My family is still there, so I will have to go back. I promise to return, to recharge and renew, but I cannot stay. I'll take roti skins, Julie mango, green seasoning, and pigeon peas. I'll take some rum punch, bitters, sorrel, and Moby bark. I'll take some sugar cake, cassava pone, and pastels. Anything that will help to keep me grounded. I'll squeeze anything into that big suitcase, slowly losing ties with my roots. So that's how I ended briefing Trini Expat's diary. Thank you so much, everyone. Is Coryn still there? Coryn, can we see you? Are you still online? So for the viewers, thank you so much for coming out this evening. Sincerely appreciated. We had as guests Coryn Anaya Clarke and Cynthia Birch, and they promoted their books. Coryn, 7 Days of Fun, Mrs. Birch, What We Say, What We Write. And also, I'd like the viewers to know I have books on sale for the holidays. You get 2 books for $20 plus shipping wherever you live. I will sign copies of the books and send them to you. So I've put my website, JennylyndJames.com/books in the chat box. Send me an email if you want to order any books, JennylyndJames@gmail.com. So just for this week coming up, all the books are on sale, all of them. Great reading, great gifts for the holidays. Thank you so much, Mrs. Birch. Thank you so much, Coryn. All right, it was wonderful having you all. So we'll end it here. Thanks again. Bye, everybody, and thank you. Take care.